Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our English learning channel. Today, we are going to learn about a very famous scientist, Charles Darwin. He was the man who changed the way we understand nature, animals, and even ourselves. Let's begin. Charles Darwin was born on February 12, 1809 in Shrewsbury, England. His full name was Charles Robert Darwin. He came from a rich and educated family. His father, Robert Darwin, was a doctor. His mother, Susanna, came from the Wedgwood family. They made fine pottery. Both families cared a lot about education and science. As a boy, Charles loved nature. He collected insects, shells, and rocks. He liked to explore the countryside near his home. But in school, he was not a great student. He thought Latin and Greek were boring. He preferred to look for beetles and birds outside. His father worried about him. He once said, "You care for nothing but dogs and shooting, and you will be a disgrace to the family." But Charles was just curious about the world of living things. When he was 16, Charles went to the University of Edinburgh to study medicine. His father wanted him to become a doctor, but Charles did not like it. In those days, doctors did surgery without pain medicine. He hated seeing people suffer, so he stopped studying medicine. At the university, he met a scientist named Robert Grant. Grant studied sea animals and believed that species could change over time. This was Darwin's first contact with the idea of evolution, though he didn't believe it yet. After 2 years, Charles left Edinburgh. Then his father suggested he should become a clergyman, a churchman. So in 1828, Darwin went to Cambridge University. At Cambridge, he was supposed to study religion, but he spent more time studying plants and insects. He met a kind teacher named John Stevens Henslow, a professor of botany. Henslow became his mentor and close friend. He encouraged Charles to keep studying nature seriously. This friendship changed his life forever. After finishing his studies, Darwin got an amazing offer. A British ship, the HMS Beagle, was going on a long trip to map the coasts of South America. The captain, Robert Fitzroy, wanted a young naturalist to come along, someone to study animals and plants. Professor Henslow recommended Darwin. Darwin's father first said no, but finally allowed him to go. On December 27, 1831, Charles Darwin began his great journey around the world. He was only 22 years old. The trip lasted 5 years. The Beagle visited many places: Brazil, Argentina, Chile, the Galapagos Islands, Australia, and others. Darwin spent most of his time on land. He collected plants, animals, and rocks. He filled his notebooks with observations. He was amazed by the beauty and variety of life. When he visited the Galapagos Islands, he saw something special. On each island, the animals were slightly different. The finches, for example, had different kinds of beaks. Some had long beaks for catching insects. Others had strong beaks for cracking seeds. Darwin began to think, maybe these birds were related. Maybe they changed over time to fit their environment. This idea stayed in his mind for years. After 5 years, in 1836, the Beagle returned to England. Darwin brought back thousands of samples and notes. The journey changed his life, and later, it changed the world. When Darwin came home, he was already respected by scientists. He worked hard to study all his collections. He wrote many reports and books about the animals and plants he found. In 1839, he published The Voyage of the Beagle, which told the story of his trip. The book became very popular. People loved reading about the strange animals and beautiful islands. Around this time, Darwin started to think deeply about how species change. He read a book by Thomas Malthus, who said that humans produce more babies than can survive. That means there is competition for food and space. Darwin realized that the same thing happens in nature. Animals and plants have to compete to survive. The ones with useful traits, like stronger legs or better camouflage, survive and have babies. Those babies inherit the same good traits. Over many generations, small changes can lead to new species. He called this idea natural selection. In 1839, Darwin married his cousin Emma Wedgwood. Emma was gentle, intelligent, and very religious. They loved each other deeply, even though their beliefs were different. They had 10 children, but sadly, some of them died when they were young. The death of their daughter Annie in 1851 made Darwin very sad. It also made him question his faith in God. The family lived in a quiet village called Down in Kent. Darwin turned his house and garden into a small research center. He worked every day studying plants, insects, and animals. He did small experiments, planting seeds, watching worms, and breeding pigeons. Darwin was a careful worker. He collected thousands of facts before saying anything to the public. He wanted to be sure he was right. For more than 20 years, Darwin studied and thought about one big question: how do species change over time? He was afraid to publish his ideas because they went against the religious beliefs of that time. Many people thought all living things were created exactly as they are now. Then, in 1858, Darwin received a letter from another naturalist, Alfred Russel Wallace. Wallace had been studying animals in Indonesia and had come up with the same idea: natural selection. Darwin was surprised. He didn't want to take all the credit, so he shared his ideas with Wallace. Both men's papers were presented at a scientific meeting in London in 1858. A year later, in 1859, Darwin published his famous book, On the Origin of Species. This book explained how evolution works. It showed that life changes slowly through natural selection. Darwin said more living things are born than can survive. Every species has small differences. Some differences help individuals survive better. Those individuals reproduce and pass on their traits. Over many years, species evolve. This was a simple but powerful idea. The book became a huge success. All copies sold out on the first day, but it also caused great debates. Some scientists supported Darwin, while others attacked him. Many religious leaders said his ideas went against the Bible. One famous debate happened in 1860 at Oxford University. Bishop Samuel Wilberforce argued against evolution. Darwin's friend Thomas Henry Huxley defended it. When Wilberforce mocked him by asking if he came from a monkey, Huxley replied that he would rather have an ape for a grandfather than a man who used his intelligence to make fun of the truth. Darwin himself stayed quiet. He did not like public arguments. He preferred to let the evidence speak for itself. Darwin continued to write books and study nature for the rest of his life. In 1871, he published The Descent of Man. Here, he explained that humans also evolved through natural selection. He showed that we share common ancestors with other animals. This shocked many people at the time. He also wrote The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals, which showed that human emotions like fear and joy come from our animal past. Darwin loved to study small things too. He studied how flowers are pollinated, how climbing plants move, and even how earthworms improve the soil. His last book, The Formation of Vegetable Mold Through the Action of Worms, was published in 1881. 1 year before he died. Darwin's faith changed over time. As a young man, he believed in Christianity. But as he studied nature, he began to doubt some religious stories. He saw too much pain and death in the world to believe that everything was perfectly designed. He never called himself an atheist. He said he was an agnostic, someone who is not sure whether God exists. Darwin was kind, humble, and patient. He did not seek fame or fights. He loved his family, his garden, and his work. He showed that science can be peaceful, thoughtful, and honest. Charles Darwin died on April 19, 1882, at the age of 73. He passed away quietly at his home in Down, Kent. Although he wanted a simple funeral, the people of Britain wanted to honor him. He was buried in Westminster Abbey near Isaac Newton, another great scientist. Darwin's theory of evolution changed the world. It became the foundation of modern biology. His ideas helped us understand how life develops, adapts, and survives. Later, with the discovery of DNA and genetics, scientists found even stronger proof of evolution. Today, we know that all living things, from tiny bacteria to humans, are connected through millions of years of evolution. Darwin's work also changed philosophy, psychology, and even how people think about society. He helped humans see that they are part of nature, not above it. Charles Darwin was not a man who wanted fame or power. He was a quiet observer who loved to ask questions. He spent his life studying the beauty and complexity of the natural world. His idea, evolution by natural selection, showed that life is always changing. It grows, adapts, and survives in amazing ways. Darwin's story teaches us something important. Great discoveries take time, patience, and curiosity. Sometimes, the best way to learn is to look closely at the world around us. So next time you see a bird, a flower, or even a worm, remember Charles Darwin, the man who taught us that every living thing is part of one great family of life.